All right, welcome in. It's been a while since we've done one of these Friday night shows, but we're on a different schedule this week. Monday Night Football is the 49ers playing about 30 hours later than normal. Today, up in the 49ers locker room, they've got screens that show the day's schedule. And at the top of the day's schedule, it always says the day. So it put Friday, obviously, but then it put Thursday in quotation marks. The 49ers treated this one like Thursday. And tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be treated like Friday. So I'm on my normal weekday schedule still right now. We'll be coming out with the predictions. Will the 49ers beat the Vikings? All that good stuff tomorrow. On Saturday, then I'm headed to Stanford, UCLA. I'm going to swing through the tailgate, the press box. Might leave a little bit early unless Stanford decides to be super dramatic like this time last week at Colorado. We even ran a show this time last week. So should be fun out in Stanford tomorrow. It's going to be the last ever Stanford UCLA game, or it's the last one that's scheduled. Hopefully at some point in the future, they get this crazy geographical stuff fixed with college football. Did you hear that Stanford and Fresno State are going to do it home and home? It's like a dream for me. Being from Visalia, having gone to Stanford, I will be there in like 2030 or whenever it is at Bulldog Stadium to see Stanford travel to play Fresno State. Anyway, tonight we're previewing the 49ers defense against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense. Last night was the opposite. Last night was Brock Purdy against the Minnesota Vikings defense. Today, well, reunion with Kirk Cousins, and Kyle Shanahan went back into the history this year. 2012 is when Cousins was drafted by Washington in the 4th round, and Cousins was who Shanahan wanted to draft all around. He wanted to draft Cousins in the 2nd round that year. Sounds like the front office made Mike and Kyle Shanahan draft RG3. That was early on in the 1st round. They actually wanted Tannehill because Washington initially had the number 6 overall pick, but it sounded like the front office drove them to trade up and draft RG3. So no Tannehill, but they still wanted to draft 2 quarterbacks. And once the 4th round came around and Kirk Cousins was still on the board, Mike Shanahan said, "Hey, this is your guy. Let's go get him." Cousins only started 3 games under Mike and Kyle Shanahan in Washington in 2012 and 2013 when RG3 was hurt, but he obviously did turn into the franchise quarterback there and then turned into the Minnesota Vikings franchise quarterback. The relationship was good enough with Kyle Shanahan to where Kyle wanted to sign Kirk Cousins when he became a free agent in 2018 to the 49ers. That was the initial plan. That plan didn't come to fruition, though, because Jimmy Garoppolo showed up via trade from New England, and the 49ers signed him instead. Kirk Cousins becomes a free agent or is scheduled to become a free agent again after this season. So we'll see what the future has in hold for him. But the 49ers appear to have found their guy in Brock Purdy. But we could talk more about that in a little bit. I will say this about Kirk Cousins. He's racked up a whole heck of a lot of garbage yardage this season. He's number 2 in yards this year in the NFL, behind only Tua Tagovailoa. But do not let that fool you. Here, we can see the rankings by expected points added per play. These are going to be much smarter rankings than just yardage. This is going to measure 3rd down performance. It's going to measure red zone performance, and it's going to include it all in under the umbrella of one efficiency stat. Brock Purdy leads the NFL. It's Purdy, Allen, Tagovailoa, Mahomes, Jared Goff having a nice year to go down to number 16 to find Kirk Cousins. So the Vikings, the lesson here is they have a lot of yardage. Kirk Cousins has a lot of yardage, but he doesn't have great efficiency. He's right down near the middle of the pack. And that means the Vikings have not been good on 3rd downs. And that means the Vikings have not been good in the red zone. It also means they've turned it over too much. And there is some data suggesting this team has been unlucky. They have 9 lost fumbles this year, which is by far the most in the NFL. And that can hurt offensive efficiency as well. But we do have to note that Kirk Cousins has not been as good as that yardage total would indicate. He also has not had the benefit of a good run game this year. Number 25 expected points per play. So no more Dalvin Cook in Minnesota. It's Alexander Mattison and Cam Akers, the former Ram. I can show you the depth chart here so you can get familiar with what Minnesota is going to be offering to the 49ers. Obviously, no Justin Jefferson, who's on injured reserve. And Ezra Cleveland might not play either, the left guard, who's a good left guard as far as movement ability goes. Somebody that when he came out of Boise State a few years ago, I thought the 49ers might be, and they were interested in him, but I thought that he might end up with the 49ers, and he didn't. But Ezra Cleveland dealing with an injury. No Justin Jefferson. He's an all-pro wideout. The Vikings won't have him. If you take a look at the offensive line of this Minnesota Vikings team, Christian Darrisaw is the top-graded pass blocker in all of football, has taken that spot from Trent Williams after Trent got hurt and had to go up against Myles Garrett. So remember when Darrisaw and Nick Bosa went up against each other last season, Darrisaw's first year? That was during the joint practices in Minnesota. Darrisaw picking Bosa's brain. Bosa being introduced to one of the new talents in this league. Well, Darrisaw's taken massive, massive steps forward. You can maybe see some of the 49ers' future at tackle in Christian Darrisaw, a high draft pick, because the 49ers are going to have a first-round draft pick again if they don't trade it away in this upcoming 2024 draft. Now, the only thing is it's probably going to be a really low first-round selection. So the question is, can they pick up a nice-looking tackle? Well, we'll get to see Christian Darrisaw work against Nick Bosa. But speaking of Kirk Cousins and garbage yardage, take a look at this. Arjun Menon, he posts a lot of good data stuff online. This is quarterback efficiency against different types of coverage. So we're going to take a look at Brock Purdy, obviously, as part of this exercise. But blue is good, red is bad as far as below and above average. I'm going to zoom in a bit on Kirk Cousins here. You can see his row right here has quite a bit of red. There's a lot of blue over here on the right, and then there's the aggregate. As you can see, the dark blue for Kirk Cousins on the very right is cover 6. Deep zone coverage, a lot of DBs on the field, prevent essentially. Kirk Cousins does not do well against the more regular, aggressive types of defenses. Cover 1 man, negative expected points per play. Cover 2, doing better against cover 2. More of a zone defense, of course, cover 2. Accidentally zoomed out. Where is he? There he is, Kirk Cousins. Cover 3, 49ers run a lot of cover 3 zone. Kirk Cousins not doing well there. Cover 4, Kirk Cousins not doing well there. So you can understand the DNA of Kirk Cousins' stats a little bit better here by looking at the splits against different coverage. And when I say that he's racked up a lot of garbage yardage, I am not kidding. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy, he's over here. My cursor is over Brock Purdy's picture. Look at that. Blue across the board for Brock Purdy. He hasn't been inefficient anywhere. Nowhere. No inefficiencies for Brock Purdy. So that, I think, should help color this with some context, because Cousins has more passing yardage than Brock Purdy, but he definitely has not been the more efficient quarterback. The 49ers' keys don't change. Stop the run. Have some fun. I wrote a lot about this week because that's the one issue that the 49ers have had as of late is with the run defense. They up 160 yards on the ground to the Cleveland Browns, who now have the number 17 ranked rushing offense in the league per DVOA. Cleveland was not at number 17 before that game. The 49ers helped inflate their rankings. So it was an issue setting the edge. Steve Wilkes today explained it. He said, in the wide 9, the linebackers and the back defenders, they have to play vertically. They can't play horizontally. They have to be attacking downfield. If they start having to flow back and forth, somebody's going to knife right through them and get down the field. So the 49ers are trying to move and shift toward a more vertical attack from the second level as they try to set these edges. And you can be sure that in this copycat league, the Vikings are going to try to find a way to beat the 49ers run defense in the way that Cleveland beat it. You can see the pictures up there, Kareem Hunt scoring the touchdown, in the way that Cleveland beat it last week. Minnesota has a solid offensive line. That's the home of our headlining matchup, Christian Darrisaw against Nick Bosa. One metric has it as a top 5 pass protecting offensive line. So it is imperative that the 49ers keep Minnesota's run game down here. Number 25 EPA. Make sure, the 49ers should be taking this personally at this point. They're the number 25 run defense against design runs in the NFL. They were top 2 in each of the past 2 seasons. It's obviously not going the way they wanted to this year, and the pass rush is not having the fun it could be having if they were doing a better job stopping the run. The pass rush for the 49ers has only 15 sacks to rank number 15 in the NFL. A lot of that is because of the quick release game, right? But the quick release game could only happen efficiently enough to diffuse a pass rush if the run game is also doing some good stuff. And unfortunately for the 49ers, run games are doing a good stuff against them. Unfortunately for the 49ers, opponents are throwing a lot of screens against them. Screens in the pass game, traps in the run game. The 49ers need to focus on that this week, and I think they are. I mean, you took a look at what Cleveland did last week, 160 rushing yards, but they also set the tone early on with a Kareem Hunt screen. They had several screens in that game, short passes, screens. They were making the 49ers defense pay for its over aggressiveness up front, and then for the lack of Dre Greenlaw. Now, Dre was back at practice today, which is big news for the 49ers because him scraping over the top, him flowing, the stack monster that is Dre Greenlaw, flowing against those screen passes is so, so important. The 49ers have run into problems before with a very good pass rush where opponents have tried to screen them to death. It first started to become a theme back in 2019 when that pass rush, the gold rush, as we like to call it, roared to life. They figured it out then, and they figured it out thanks in large part to a very, very good linebacker core. So returning Dre Greenlaw in this game, I think, is very, very important. Look at the rest of this Minnesota offense. Get them back up on the screen. KJ Osborne, one of the other receivers. Jordan Addison in there as well. They have, and Keel Harry is on this team. Brandon Powell. All these guys are not Justin Jefferson, though. That's a big loss for the Vikings. I mentioned Madison and Akers in the backfield. And there's TJ Hawkinson, former Iowa tight end. So he works out with George Kittle in the offseason. Hawkinson leads this team in catches. He's tied with Justin Jefferson for the team lead. But he hasn't been nearly as impressive as one of the top tight ends in the game. You know, if you go year in, year out, you look to see how tight ends are playing. TJ Hawkinson just hasn't been as explosive. He's only averaging something like 8.3 yards per reception. So I think that he's a good all-around player, tough player out of Iowa, dependable player. He'll catch a few passes. But as far as blowing the top off of a defense, I don't think that TJ Hawkinson is that type of player. Josh Oliver, the backup tight end, played for San Jose State, by the way. No Marquise Goodwin sightings this week. We saw him last week in the Marquise Goodwin revenge game against the 49ers. And the Vikings are one of the few teams, like the 49ers, who use a fullback in CJ Ham. So you're going to get some true pro-style attack from the Vikings. But it hasn't helped them run the ball effectively this season, and it hasn't helped Kirk Cousins be all that efficient. The bottom line is that Minnesota's offense has been mediocre. The team itself has been mediocre. They're 2-4. They have a decent line, but they haven't been able to run. They haven't been able to convert consistently enough on third down. They haven't been able to deal in the red zone, and they've turned it over too much. This team is number 30 in turnover differential, and a lot of that is because the offense has fumbled the ball away 9 times. This is a chance for the 49ers defense to assert itself, to take last week's loss personally, to make a statement, to fix the run defense, to apply the keys that always apply with it, and to show up and dominate. This is that opportunity. They might have to do that if you don't have some of the star players on the offensive side. Trent Williams might not play. Deebo Samuel might not play. Christian McCaffrey's status is still up in the air. But Dre Greenlaw was back at practice on Friday, or the Thursday practice of the week. And that means that this 49ers defense is going to be full strength for this game against the Minnesota Vikings. And the offense has been the horse that's pulled the cart that pulled the horse, maybe the locomotive that's pulled the train so far this year. That's been a change over previous seasons when I think the 49ers defense is ranked out better. So far this year, the offense has been better. I know nobody played all that well against the Cleveland Browns, but in general, it's been an offense-driven team. And a balanced team for the 49ers. Let's not act like one side of the football has been deficient. But this game in particular, on paper, when you look at some of the losses that the offense may have to be dealing with on the road against Minnesota on Monday night, it might be one of those that the 49ers need their defense to be the leader again. And that's why this matchup is compelling. Kirk Cousins, the history with Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers rumor mill, and now a chance to play against the 49ers defense again. He beat him in 2021. Remember, he threw a costly pick to Azeez Al-Shire. They lost to Kirk Cousins in 2018, his debut with Minnesota. And now the 49ers have a chance to do some more damage against Kirk Cousins after that win in 2021. Let's move over to a 49ers Q&A. I'm just going to keep it about this side of the ball. 49ers defense against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense. Would I trade Purdy for Cousins? Hell no. Purdy has shown the moxie to drive the ball forward in crucial efficiency leverage situations, win playoff games. Kirk Cousins is more accurate. I'll give him that, but it's not just about accuracy. There's a reason why Kirk Cousins is 7-11 in prime time. The playoff record isn't great either. There's a reason why Brock Purdy started winning those types of games right out of bed. And it's because of the ability to convert on third down and in the red zone. And, I just about had it with Kirk Cousins last year when he threw short of the sticks on fourth down in the playoffs to end the Minnesota Vikings season. So, I like to look at efficiency. Cousins' efficiency peak was a couple years ago. It hasn't been great this year. Brock Purdy's a rising stock. I think Kirk Cousins is a declining one. So I would not trade Brock Purdy for Kirk Cousins. So I feel the 49ers will begin to climb the defensive DVOA charts as the year progresses. Well, they're already pretty damn high right now, right? They're like, what, number 4? I think they're number 4 right now. So, yeah, I think they'll get to number 2. I think it's going to be really hard to get to number 1 because Cleveland has a massive lead over everybody. But I think this is going to be a top 2 defense again if they stay healthy. And here's a week where the 49ers have a chance to start making some of that progress. I don't think Isaiah Oliver is a concern. If the 49ers can improve the secondary at the trade deadline, they'll improve it. But Isaiah Oliver ranks number 8 in yards allowed per coverage snap among slot cornerbacks and number 4 in passer rating allowed into his coverage among slot cornerbacks. Those are both respectable figures. Better than last year with Jimmy Ward. So I don't think that Isaiah Oliver has been a concern. I do think the 49ers are open to anything, though, on the back end that can add depth or, even raise the level of their play from the starters. Without CMC and Debo, the 49ers are still far and away the better team on offense. The Vikings don't even have Jefferson. That is correct. That's why the 49ers are significant favorites over the Minnesota Vikings. And that Vikings offense is a lot more dependent on Justin Jefferson than the 49ers, I think, are on anybody. I mean, it's the Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson show over there when he's healthy. And he's not, and they struggled against the Bears their last time out. I find the stats I use from everywhere. I am a big-time research guy. I like doing my homework. But Summer Sports is a really good website that has put a lot of this efficiency stuff into one spot. Right there, Summer Sports. You can see it at the top. SUMER Sports. Will Gregory get more snaps? I think so. He impressed them in the first week. He had 20-something snaps. I think his snap load will continue to grow as he acclimates with the 49ers defense. So I'm doing 49ers defense against the Vikings offense. That's the question variety that I'm answering right now. Go ahead and smash that like button while you're here. Taking some time on a Friday to give you a nice little preview show of 49ers and Vikings. Don't look like too many people are in the mood to talk. I guess it's Friday evening. I did a cool little video from the Cow Palace on George Kittle. I was down at the facility today. I gave you the updates from the facility. We did as much as we could. We're kind of in that portion of the season right now where the 49ers have suffered their first loss. The bye is 2 weeks away. We're going to be kicking it into overdrive very, very soon. But I think it's important for the 49ers to enter their bye on a winning note to keep the good vibes rolling. You could take a loss against the Browns. You don't want to lose against an overmatched Vikings team, especially in prime time, and ahead of a big, big game next week against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't see Alexander Mattison as being that big of a concern. No, I think he's just the guy at running back. Minnesota's run game has been a problem for them this year. Number 25 EPA per play. 49ers run defense, though, as I said, that's been a problem too, but could be a good get-well opportunity for the 49ers or the other way around. 2019, Eric Armstead is playing a different position. Eric Armstead in 2019 was playing end. He's playing defensive tackle now, and he's playing it well. Eric Armstead is doing a really good job over there on the inside. But in 2019, I mean, he was more of a pass rusher. Now he's supposed to be a run stopper. He's supposed to run stopper, a stopper, a run stopper. He's supposed to be a guy that commands some double teams. He needs the forklift people, push that pocket back into the quarterback, and he's done a good job. I still remember the Charvarius Ward pick against Pittsburgh. That was all Eric Armstead pushing the guard back, getting his arms up into Kenny Pickett's face. So Eric Armstead is Eric Armstead. He's just playing a different position that he did back in 2019. Well, I guess this is special teams, so it relates a little bit to defense. Hoping that Moody kicking in a dome will restore his confidence. I think Moody's confidence never left, to be honest. He just missed a kick. Let's not make things bigger than they are. I think Jake Moody is going to be fine. They're betting that he's going to be fine because he's got the mental makeup to be fine. So let's just wait and see what happens. I wouldn't ascribe greater meaning to something than is actually there. He just missed his first game-winning kick after making 9 in a row to open his NFL career. Just need to shut down Hawkinson and Osborne. Yeah, well, I mean, you want to shut down Madison too. You want to. Got everybody in this game is an NFL player. You can't just say shut down 2 and then forget about everybody else because guys can come out of nowhere and deliver a big game. There's a spot in North Sacramento. I think somebody thinks that I'll like this spot in North Sacramento. All right, well, let me know. I'll go check it out. What is the spot? The last time Moody kicked in a dome, he made a 57-yarder. That's interesting. There was a time that Steph missed a free throw, and then he proceeded to make the next one. Steph is what, 92, 93% free throw shooter? Mike predicts the 49ers to hit over 35 points. I'm not so sure because they may not have Trent Williams. That might be tough with Jalen Moore and a team that Minnesota that blitzes so often. So we'll see. It's going to be fascinating. All right, in honor of Christian McCaffrey, we're going to make this a 23-minute show. Yes, this is really live. What do you think? How would it not be live? I'm answering questions that are literally coming up on the screen. Lou's Burgers. They have great milkshakes in Sacramento. Okay, cool. I'm going to check that out. Heard there's a good burger spot as well in Minneapolis. That could be fun too. When am I coming to Hawaii? All right. I'll let everybody know when I'm coming to Hawaii. This has been 49ers defense against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense, though. Garbage yardage, Kirk Cousins. Bad run game for the Vikings. No Justin Jefferson. Good offensive line, though. So the 49ers have to show up ready to play in this game defensively. And I think the defense, given the injuries on offense, could be the difference in this one. This is a statement opportunity for the 49ers defense. And as always, stop the run so you can have some fun. That's the key for Monday night. So much more coverage coming. We've got, will the 49ers beat the Vikings? We've got the prediction. I'm going to be around that Stanford UCLA game tomorrow. All kinds of stuff happening before Sunday. We can watch some NFL on Sunday. It's going to be fun. And then the 49ers wrap up the week with Monday Night Football. So everybody, thank you for joining. We'll talk to everybody very soon. Maybe even one more tonight. Maybe we'll do a late night Lombardi, do a little Q&A. But for now, I have to go get some stuff together. So we'll talk to you very soon. Stay tuned. Hit the alarm bell so you're notified next time I show up live.